I know this is an unfortunate time for my hair to look this crazy, but I have to expose myself. I am a debate lord. I like to argue with people in the YouTube comments. And I stumbled upon this guy's YouTube video. It was this one with this face of Trapler Ross in the thumbnail. And I saw this video and actually I have never heard of this dude before. I know this is sometimes like cope, people like to say, but if I would know this guy, I would just say this now. This was the first video that I saw from him by pure chance, because I saw like, oh, there's a critical video of Trapler Ross, which could be interesting. There is some very valid criticism about Trapler Ross, so this is why I clicked on it. And I was also curious why they say he's racist. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of proof for it, but I clicked on this video and I was so turned off by this video in like the first minute or something that I wrote a very edgy comment. So and he responded like 3 times to this comment, which is interesting to say the least. This guy has over 100k subs, so he has 125k subs. As you guys know, I don't have any subs at all, so why not make a response to this? Also, this is kind of funny actually. So let's get first to why I found this video to be that bad in just like the first minute. He's just starting off this video with an advertisement, which is crazy. I have never seen that people do this, because this is like so bad for audience retention. But I mean, I don't know, if it works for him, it works.
Alright, so any of y'all who have watched me for any length of time know that I am not at all shy about where or how I grew up. Not only am I a product of the hood, but I am also a certified and bona fide project baby. I even have the certificate to prove it. I say that to say that I have a let's just call it a sensitivity toward topics that cover places and people like where and who I grew up with and around, especially when they're being covered by somebody who looks like they'd be better served talking about K-pop bands. I haven't been shy in the past about vocalizing my disdain for folk like Trapler Ross and Adam 22 and DJ Academics. And
so this already threw me off a lot. So he's saying that Trapler Ross looks like a guy who should review K-pop. I mean, he's not Asian, so I don't know. I don't know what's the point there. Why is everybody has white skin is supposed to talk about K-pop? Like, I don't get it. Like Asian people and white people, there's like a racial difference, even if you want to make a racial stereotypical thing out of it. And also like Trapler Ross, if you look at him, I mean, he has like a weird specific look, but does he look like a person who watches a lot of anime or something? There's nothing that tells you that this guy is a fan of Asian culture or something. There's like just something just grabbed out of nowhere. And then he's also grouping in Adam 22 and Academics, and of course these 3 people have in common that they are hip-hop commentators or hip-hop content creators, and some of the largest at that. And they all have in common that they are not coming from like a hood, a street background, so they just report on things or talk about things that they haven't experienced themselves. That's why he's grouping these people together. So I understand this idea of grouping these 3 guys together, but what is kind of weird is that he's starting with Trapler Ross looks like a guy who should cover K-pop, and then he groups in Academics, who is a black person. So I don't know, is this guy now looking like somebody who could cover hip-hop? I don't know. So is looking like something the criteria, or is being from that background the criteria? I don't understand it.
And I mean, because this is the internet after all, where nobody believes in just taking a black man's word on black men's issues, because
this is the weirdest point. Taking a black man's word on black man's issues. Academics is a black person. You just listed 3 people and 1 person is black. So the point is already lost here.
And I mean, because this is the internet after all, where nobody believes in just taking a black man's word on black men's issues, because that just sounds too much like right to be real, I and others have to sit here and explain to the non and newly black why those folk are problematic.
What are the non and newly black people? What is that? The newly black people? First of all, he's addressing this to white people. He's basically saying he's addressing this to the non-black people, which is like white people or like everybody who's not black. But then he's grouping in also, yeah, the newly black. So I don't understand what the newly black are supposed to be. I guess it could be that he's meaning people like Adam 22 who are in the space of hip hop, which is very, of course, black dominated. And he's aligning with these people and socializing with these people to the point where it's like he's part of this black culture to some extent. Maybe this is what he's getting at. I don't even know if I would subscribe to that. No, not really, actually. But I think that's kind of what he's saying. It's a bit weird, actually. It's weird.
I've talked in passing in the past about why those channels and their content is individually problematic, but I've never talked about the bigger issue.
So it seems like he's addressing this, I think he's addressing this to the larger hip-hop audience. So basically a lot of white people, because I mean, we know that a lot of black people, of course, consume hip-hop commentary, but we know, I mean, America's very white is still like a majority white. And also, if you look at hip-hop concerts, it's a lot of white people there, right? It's a lot of young white people. So the average hip-hop listener is of different races, but there is a good part that is white. And I think that's what he means. He wants to explain to white hip-hop listeners why people like Adam 22, Trapler Ross, and academics are not good for hip-hop or are bad people, and why instead you should listen to a black man. For some reason, academics is not a black man in this instance. I don't know why.
That not only makes channels like Trap Lore and Swamp Stories and insert whoever else in here possible in the first place, but it's popular as they are. So that's what we're going to try to unpack today. This isn't really a video about why Trap Lore Ross or DJ Vlad or whoever else is individually a problem. This is a video about why they exist to begin with.
So this is the point where I already turned the video off, basically, because it's just so annoying that he's doing this thing on like a white and black basis, because if he's grouping academics, which is a big part, and he could group in more people at that, it just has to be academics. There are more black people in hip-hop media who have no street background or something and talk about these issues and aggravate certain situations, and you could group other people in. So it's actually not a white and black problem or something. It's not a race thing, it's not a skin color thing. It's just about basically this understanding or this acceptance of clickbaiting things that are related to actually violence in real life or violence that happen in real life. And that is kind of the thing where you have this question if it's moral or if it's right to report on things or aggravate certain situations that could spill into real world violence. So somebody could end up being killed because of an online argument that was aggravated and put out by people like Adam 22 or academics by putting somebody on their platform, like putting somebody like a street person, like some street rapper on their platform and asking them about an op, like somebody from the other team, and asking about it, and then they say fuck this person, and then the result is that they get killed or something like that could technically happen. And that would be something where you could kind of ask yourself if this is moral to put content like that out, or if you need to basically put pressure on these platforms, on these YouTube channels, to censor this stuff a bit more. That could be the thing that you want to advocate for. That could be a thing. But just making this a white and black thing, like a race, skin color thing, is just not addressing the actual problem that's going on. Because, I mean, there are a lot of like hip-hop drama channels where you don't even know what these people look like, and you don't even know if somebody's black or something. I mean, we could assume that somebody like Swamp Stories is white because of his accent, but there are other channels. I mean, right now there's a channel coming up that's called Big Chat Small World, and he's addressing some of these things. And there are other channels as well. There's plentiful channels that do this, and a lot of them are black. So if all these white content creators would be getting cancelled and they would just cease to exist, then other people would do this kind of like hip-hop and gang drama. Black people wouldn't just do this. They would get bigger. Their platforms would get bigger. It doesn't stop at just cutting out the white people.
It's just journalism, bro. It's all public information. You're only saying this because Trapler Ross is white, and yeah, duh, nigga. That's literally my point. But
okay, yeah. So he's saying, yeah, okay, Trapler Ross is, by the way, white, and that's a problem.
As well, all things, there's much more nuance to it than just whiteness in a vacuum.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I think this is kind of my point. For me, this is a non-starter if you just go into this conversation with just saying, oh yeah, people are, by the way, white, and they don't have no clue about street stuff. Look, I'm not trying to defend whiteness or something. It's just this lefty social justice justice warrior, like this lame, outdated social justice warrior position of white people are evil and are exploiting black people, which is something that, of course, in history has happened and which was, of course, terrible and such. But right now in like the YouTube landscape, I don't feel like this is the root cause of the problem. But you could definitely give some criticism to each of these people individually. But then you would just have to not talk about race. You would have to actually make some points. What you could say about Adam 2022 is, for instance, he's obviously a bad friend. He is very sociopathic. He doesn't really show a lot of empathy. He's also like very weak to criticism, or let's say he doesn't really accept criticism. He takes it very badly, I would say. And also he is kind of interested in aggravating sometimes these situations between gangs and such. He finds it, I think, intriguing to talk about gang stuff, and also when it escalates, I think he's kind of excited by it. So this is something that you could criticize him on. And for Trapler Ross, it's so easy to criticize Trapler Ross, because Trapler Ross always listens to the most violent rapper out there. He listens to the most violent rapper that has the most street cred, has the most bodies under his belt, and that's the rapper he listens to. So he's kind of directly feeding into it. And because a lot of people do it like Trapler Ross, they want to listen to the most real person that has committed the most violence, the most violent acts. Because a lot of people think like this, these actual killers like King Von get so large and get so popular. And that's something that you can criticize. You can say, okay, why are we focusing and promoting and listen to the music of these people who have killed the most people? So like, why is this like your main criteria? Because I might have listened to like 1 or 2 King Von songs because they were actually good, but I don't seek out King Von because he's like he has like 7 bodies or something allegedly. I mean, he's dead, so who cares? I personally prefer listening to Playboi Carti, and Playboi Carti is not really street affiliated if we're being honest. So Trapler Ross, I think he probably would like Playboi Carti, but he likes somebody like King Von or K-Flock or somebody. He likes those people more because they have killed more people. That's at least what I feel. If you hear somebody is like very violent and commits a lot of murders, he gets very interested by that. He's intrigued, which is understandable, by the way, because it's like the true crime factor. But also he then starts listening to other music and becomes like a super fan. And then in his videos, he's like, oh, this is so sad that somebody died. It's so sad. So there's like a cognitive dissonance thing going on there. And for academics, I mean, it's so obvious that he's kind of cosplaying a street person that's only in front of the mic getting drunk. And he's kind of threatening people on the mic, not with violence, but with anything else, basically. He's just extremely cosplaying this stuff, and he's not that person, so. Actually, I think in the time of the Chicago stuff, it wasn't actually a problem. He was kind of reporting it, and it seems like he made kind of fun of it, but I think more issues came later on when he started being involved in the stuff and was asking all these questions, and he's pressing. I mean, there's like this clip where King Von, there were clips where he's also asking King Von all the jerk stuff, and that's more of a problem than just reporting stuff. But now he's actually involved in these politics, so that's something that you could criticize, definitely. But this pure race thing is for me just a non-starter. Hip-hop is just a genre that gets listened to by a lot of white people. A lot of more conservative black households, they don't even want to listen to hip-hop, or maybe it's now a bit different, but I think if you go back like 10 years or something, or 20 years, I think they were like, okay, that's bad music, you should listen to that. They were listening more to like R&B or something, or older music or something that was playing in the house. But from my understanding, it's not like the black community that was like financially holding up this thing called hip-hop. It was actually a lot of white people that financially made it possible for all of these rappers to get so big. Which doesn't mean that we have to thank white people for hip-hop. Of course, black people came up with a lot of genres. That's very obvious. And of course, most rappers are black people. Obviously, I don't even need to say that. But what I'm trying to say is that you can't just wash away white people from hip-hop media. This just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Okay, and now let's get to what I wrote about this. So I said, Jesus Christ, you're mega corny. Academics is black too, right? Of course, these guys feast off of covering drama, but we all know that already. You just found that out. It's fine too that he's talking about this topic and talks about hip-hop media coverage. So that's actually fine. I think I was kind of getting a bit too deep here, but this is actually what I was talking about. Now, how is being white the issue here when you dislike academics as well? What's with WAC 100? Also, the source material, like gangs and gangster hip-hop, aren't exactly the most moral instances either. Even though you can say that people in gangster culture, basically, they come from disenfranchised beginnings, upcomings, but there is like a history of embellishing or celebrating violence, so you could definitely criticize that, of course. So the only reasonable thing to do, if you actually think this content is poison, then start educating in why the content is poison and not why somebody being white or from Jamaica is the problem. So that's, I'm just saying, like this angle of heritage or like skin color or something. I just don't like that. But then you would need to make a stance against gang politics and gangster rap as a whole. Nah, we ain't gonna do that. And then he responded, "You are white. Your opinion on this don't mean shit to me." Somebody actually wrote, "Why does him being white matter? I don't listen to white opinions on black issues. Don't nobody know what being black is like besides other black folk." Academics, by the way. "So why should I give a fuck what an oppressor has got to say?" An oppressor. I said, yeah, right. Trapler Ross, a random dude from Britain, is oppressing you. Also, Trapler Ross is just reporting, documenting things. He's not telling people what being black is like. And mostly gives context about upbringing of a gangster or killer. And yes, you should not give a fuck, but you do, clearly showing this video. So I don't even know who he meant by oppressor, if I was being addressed here or Trapler Ross, but I think he's just grouping white people as the oppressor, and I don't even know how I or Trapler Ross are oppressing this guy. I don't even know if anybody is oppressing this guy. This guy has a YouTube channel with 125k subscribers. He's probably making some good money from it, I would say. So let's go to Social Blade. So it seems that this guy somehow removed himself from Social Blade. Maybe he you can actually remove yourself from that. I don't know how that works, but I couldn't find him on Social Blade, and I would think that a channel with 100k subscribers could well make like $1,000 to $5,000 a month, I would say, maybe even more in some aspects. Also, he had advertisement in his videos, so I would actually say this guy could make 10k in a month. He could. Maybe it's less. But even if he made 5k or something, even after taxes and such, I wouldn't say that this guy is necessarily disenfranchised and oppressed. So I don't know who's oppressing this guy, but please stop. Please stop. Please stop oppressing this dude. It's definitely not me or any other white person that was in the conversation here. And then somehow I stumbled upon this one. So FT Signifiers actually reposted a video from this dude. So I guess these two are affiliated somehow, or they know each other, or at least they are on the same side and talk about wrestling for some reason. I don't know. It's not really like a very lefty thing to do, but anyways. So I would say this guy is probably a turbo lefty if he's affiliated to FT Signifier. I think that's a very safe bet at this point. And of course, these people are all about race. I mean, there is no other political alignment that talks more about race than like Twitter turbo lefties. So that is not a surprise here. Or maybe like gamers, like some sort of like conservative Christian gamers that don't like diversity in their video games. That maybe that could be the other group that also talks about race a lot. So that's the people you align with. Okay, but this guy, just the last point here. Somebody said, you also are cool with this Professor Sky guy who happens to be white and makes videos about hip-hop and black culture. And then this dude says, because he knows his place and don't move past it, like unlike the bozo above, which is me in this instance. Also, I said, why do you even respond to me and talk about Adam and Rick and Trapler Ross if it doesn't mean shit to you? If it wouldn't mean shit, you would ignore it. And he said, because I had time. Like I said, I don't give a fuck what you think. That don't mean I don't find pleasure in mocking you for thinking I would. And somebody said, damn, appeal to phenomenology. I have actually never heard that word. Bet if women said nobody could tell them about their own experiences, you would agree. Until it were a man claiming to identify as one. Lol. Okay, seems to be like some sort of trans thing. I've actually said exactly that several times on this very channel. Try again, F-boy. So it seems like this guy's also a person who likes to argue on YouTube. So we have one thing in common. But yeah, I think that this whole race thing is very, very played out. I think it's very played out. And you can see actually the new generation is way less concerned with race, in my opinion. So like already the Zoomers and even people after that, race plays plays less and less of a role, I would say, which is a good development. It's because they grow up watching streamers, YouTubers of different races. They have different kind of races in school. Race kind of as a concept diminishes further and further, and it's more like just different people look different. That's all. And this whole culture war thing becomes like more stale and stale by the day. That's a good development. Yep, but that's it. Joe out.